Halo, apa kabar? Selamat datang semua. Hari ini saya mau mengajar bahasa Swedia pada kalian semua. Bagus kan? Karena bahasa Swedia itu adalah bahasa saya yang sangat tercinta. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, if you didn't understand a word of that, don't worry about your Swedish, because that was Indonesian. So I'm sure your Swedish is still fine. But you know, when I learn a language, I always become sort of obsessed with it. So I can't keep myself from speaking it, even at times when I know it's not appropriate. And if you're following our channel, I think you are just the same as I am. And actually, I think that you, at times, have tried to speak Swedish with your colleagues or friends or family, knowing very well they won't understand a word, and knowing very well they'll only get annoyed and they'll think you're a bloody show-off or a snobbish language learner. But you still feel that you have to speak it, and still you support a hope deep inside your heart that one day you'll be able to teach them, so you can speak this new, exotic, exciting language instead of that worn-out, boring mother tongue. Am I right? Okay, so let's focus on Swedish. Yeah. Хорошо. I'm sorry, I know that's Russian. Well, I can't speak Russian yet. Ich kann aber ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, und das ist ja auch eine schöne Sprache, nicht wahr? Aber ja, Grammatik ist ein bisschen kompliziert. And sorry, Indonesians, for my bully accent. I'd better stick to Swedish. Titta, jag har klippt mig. Yes, as you can see, I've had my hair cut. So to have one's hair cut, in Swedish you'd say att klippa sig. So if I want to say I have my hair cut, I say jag klipper mig. Jag klipper mig. So jag is of course the personal pronoun I, and klippa is of course to cut. Mig is of course the object form, just like me or myself in English. It would sound like something, I cut myself. It doesn't mean anything like this, which I wouldn't do, of course. This is a kniv, and with a kniv you can't klippa with a kniv, because you have to skära with a kniv. And if you want to klippa something, you better use a pair of scissors. So there are two different words for cut, depending on what tool you use in order to do this. En sax, and what you do is att klippa. Jag klipper. And with a knife, en kniv, you skär. And of course it's more convenient to use the scissors for the hair. And then I just want to comment on one thing. Some people say I speak a very sort of standard Swedish, except for a few sounds where I tend to speak more like a sort of person from the northern parts, because I live in between. I live north of Stockholm, or I have my origins north of Stockholm. In Stockholm you would say att skära or something like that. Att skära. Well, I say more like att skära, sort of. And I know I've received comments on this, and I understand it's confusing, but for future reference I'll just better stick to my way of pronouncing it. So if you say jag klipper mig, because I'm not cutting right now, so I'd rather say it in the past. Jag har klippt mig. It's jag, the personal pronoun, and it's har, which is to have. It's just the same as in English, and that's because of this kinship between the languages. And klippt And you know, it's like cut in cut. I can't. Okay, cut is a bad example because it's the same, but you know, I run, I ran, I have what? Do, did, done. Do, did, done. It's like the do, did, done thing. I have some good news. It's much more regular than the English. So you have to learn, just like in English, those different forms: do, did, done. But it's much easier because it's more regular. Jag klipper. I cut with the scissors. Jag klippte. Yesterday I cut. Igår klippte jag. And I have cut. Jag har klippt. Jag har klippt. Jag har klippt. Myself. This doesn't mean I cut my hair myself, because you can say this and still you went to a hairdresser's, because that's exactly what I did. I didn't cut my hair by myself. And if I would have, I'd probably say jag har klippt mig själv. And själv, that is myself. So it's a difference between I have cut me and I have cut myself. And of course you can't say I cut me in English because it wouldn't make sense. But in Swedish you have to have this because it's sort of a reflexive verb. Okay, that's probably more like it. I feel more sort of normal now. Yes. Let's imagine you're walking down the street and you see someone who feels sort of familiar to you, but you can't recognize the person before you realize, oh no, it's my Swedish friend, and she or he has had their hair cut in a very strange way, so I can't recognize them anymore. I think I need to comment on this. So what would you say in this situation? You have to speak about it in the past because the person has obviously already had their haircut. It's nothing more to do about it. So the main verb that you need to use, the predicate of the sentence, is har. And the personal pronoun is of course you. And you know, in Sweden you say du to everybody. It's not like don't need to worry about the z in German or vous in French or something like that. It's just du. And because it's a question, you need to do this reversed word order thing. So instead of saying du har, which would denote a statement, you say har du, and then you say this cut word in past, so you just say klippt. So har du klippt. The object form of du, which is dig. Har du klippt dig? Har du klippt dig? Nej men har du klippt dig? Vad fint! Har du klippt dig? Vad roligt! Kan ni skicka en bild? Ja, okej. Hej då. Jag har klippt mig. Du har klippt dig. You see the difference? Mig, dig. You see how it's spelled. The spelling and the pronunciation divert. But it's a common word, so you just better learn it. Well, so the word say, that is if you're speaking about third person. And no matter whether it's they or he or she, so there are also object forms of he, she and they. So he, han, the object form is honom. She, hon, the object form is henne. And dom, spelt de. Object form is dom, spelt dem. There is a difference in meaning between han klippte sig, he had his haircut, and han klippte honom, which means there are two different persons involved. Va? Har han klippt sig? Det trodde jag aldrig han skulle göra. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Er is for you in plural. So if all you in plural have had your haircuts, I'd say, va? Har ni klippt er? Allihop? Now when you're standing there in the street speaking to your Swedish friend that you can't barely recognize because he or she had their haircut, you can always ask, var klippte du dig någonstans? Var klippte du dig? Vem klippte dig? Jag klippte mig själv. Jag klippte mig själv, you know. I did it myself. Det var en kompis som klippte mig. It was a friend who cut my hair. Ja, alltså, jag gick till frisören och klippte mig igår. I went to the hairdressers and had my haircut yesterday. So here, klippa someone is not reflexive anymore because if I say I have cut your hair, jag har klippt dig, and now over to something completely different. If you are cutting vegetables and like this, aj, jag skar mig. Aj, jag skar mig. Skar is if you want to say the past of att skära. You see it's the same two consonants in the beginning as in the present, but because of the vowel that changes, the sound of them changes too. So skära in present tense. Skar, jag skar mig. Jag skar mig i fingret. Jag har skurit mig if you want to say I have cut myself in the finger with a knife. Or, if you're cutting a snowflake out of paper. Aj. Jag klippte mig i fingret. Because here you need to be more specific because otherwise people think you had your hair cut and not your finger. So you need to be more specific and make clear it's your finger that is affected by the action. So I guess that's everything for now. Selamat tinggal, sampai ketemu lagi ya. Dadah. Sorry, Indonesian again. Hej då.